Okay, so now we move on to adding our design section to our site. So this is traditionally a screenshot of the product, app or service and a description of what it actually is and what it does. So in this design, the screen doesn't look too exciting at the minute, but if you wanted to add a specific screenshot of your app or your website, then I do recommend visiting placeit.net. Here you can place any image or URL into a lifestyle shot or a device with a transparent background, so you can easily add them to your pages. You can even create nice videos of an app or your site if you need to, so it's actually a really good resource for getting screenshots of your app or your product on certain devices. So first, if we head to our PSD file, we can see that we have this image here on the left hand side that we need to extract. So we can do that now. So we do as we normally do, which is select the image. Then we alt click on the eye to remove all the other layers. Then we go to image and trim and click OK. So that gives us our device's image with no other layers. Then we just need to go File, Save for Web. Then we just need to make sure we choose PNG here because we need the transparent background. And then we click Save. And then we just make sure we're in the Images folder, and then we can rename this to iPhone.png. So if we look at our design, we can see that we have two sections within this row. The first houses our image, and the second houses our text and a button. So in this row we need to have two divs that have a size class of 6 on medium and above devices, and it would be best if they stack on the smaller devices as well. So for this, like we had before, we only need to add in the medium size class, as everything else will be stacked. So let's head over to our index page and start to code the design section. So first we need to add in our comments to separate out the section. So we give these comments the name of design, and we'll just close that off. Then we add in our section ID, which we'll call design. And again we close the section off. Then we add in our container class, which will house all of our design content. And again we close that div off. So now we need to add in our row class, so we add that in with a div class equals row. And again we close that off. Now we need to add in our first size class here. So we want the content to be displayed on the same on medium and large devices. So we only need to add the medium class. So we add in our div, and we give that a class of col md6, as we want two sections, and this will be our first. Then we close that div off. So in our first set of columns we need to add our image. So we add the image tag, then we add in our source, which is our location. So we save the image in our image folder, and we call this image iPhone.png. Now we need to add in another class here, and this is the image-responsive class. Now what this does is make sure that the image scales correctly on all devices when the div is resized and snapped during the breakpoints. It saves having to create different resolution images for different devices. And then if we just save that off and refresh our page, we can see our image has been added to the first set of columns. So next what we need to do is just add our content into the next section. But before that, let's just tidy up our code a second to make it all neat and tidy. There we go. So again we add our div class and add our col md6. This just lets us access the other 6 columns in this same row. Then we just simply close that div off. And if we switch back to Photoshop to see our design, we can see we have a header here that goes within our h1 tags, then some content that can go into some p tags, then we have our button at the bottom. So if we just head back to our index page and we can add those elements in. So first we add in our h1 tag, then give this our design text, then we close that off. And next we can add in our generic text into our p tag. So if we just head back to our design and copy this first bit of content, then we just paste it into our p tag and just close that off. Then we can simply copy and paste this text, as there are 2 paragraphs within this section. Now next we need to add our button in. So we can add our button tag in. Then we give this a type of button. Then we can add the same class as we did before. So button and then btn success. So this should actually put in the same styles as our button that we created earlier. Then we just need to add our button text, which is view more. Then we just close off the button tag. Then if we just save that off and refresh our page, we can see our elements are in place, and if we shrink it down it should stack on the smaller devices. But one thing you may notice is the image is defaulted to the left hand side of the actual div. So we can add this positioning class to our class that houses our image. So we simply add the align equals center. Then if we save that off and refresh, we can see our image snap to the center of the columns or the center of the div. And again, if we shrink the page down, we can see that it looks a lot better now it's been centered. So obviously you can see here there's a little bit of styling that we need to do to this section to get it looking how we want it. So what we'll do is we'll move on and add all our styles in within our next lecture.